be very realistic about what I'm going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to rule the world. How about that?
I think that's excellent. And the point I would like to make about this, that you do not have to win the lotto to be the richest person in the world, because riches can be determined more by what way you think than by the amount of money you have in your bank account. The person who has no bank account could still regard himself as the richest in the world, particularly if he is a member of Toastmasters.
Well, unfortunately, I do have a bank account in that case. The difficulty I have is that my bank account has only got the right amount of money in it. So I have to live within that.
Well, I was going to say, unfortunately, I haven't even got a bank account.
Oh, yeah, we could do the Monty Python sketch, which says, look, I've never even been in a bank. And now Moira will chip in and says, look, I don't even know what a bank is. Is it, and then we get somebody saying, well, I fell in a river. I fell off the bank.
The bank on the side. You have two banks in a river.
But what's this about?
Choice, left bank or right bank?
But to be very serious and prudent and precise and perspicacious, let me just say that it is often useful to allow your mind to daydream and to, instead of noticing all the obstacles that get in your way, all the boulders that need to be moved, all the chasms over which you'd have to leap, instead you imagine yourself floating into the future and being able to do what you want to do. Then you get down to the really tough question. If you could remove all the obstacles from your performance in the coming year in Toastmasters, what would you be best at the end of the year, Moira O'Brien? Table topic.
I think what you have to think about here is not what you're capable of doing, but I know what I'm capable of doing. I think I know what I'm capable of doing. And because I have that mindset, that puts limitations on how far I'm going to go. So what this quote is saying is, if I imagine in my mind that there are no limitations, that I can achieve whatever I want to, that takes away that mental blockage which prevents me from becoming better.
Listeners, that's a terrific example Moira has given of when you're given a table topic and you're not quite ready to answer that question, you answer a different question and you demonstrate how fluent you are at speaking.
I thought I was answering the question.
Often half of the people in the audience can't even remember what the original question was. So you get away with it. And if you're in a contest, unfortunately, the judges might actually be listening to the extent to which you actually answer the real question.
That's very true.
I thought, Paul, you used some lovely onomatopoeia there when we were talking about a bank and we digressed to rivers and banks. And you used a lovely phrase that in Toastmasters for the coming year, we might be able to float away with our thoughts. I thought that was nice. And you used a word, Paul, in one of the sentences that I've never heard you use on Toastmasters or on the talk show for talkers, perspicacious.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about...
Are you going to give us the definition of that some week?
Yeah, some week. Thank goodness you didn't draw attention to the F word I used, so we won't go there. I wish I hadn't used the word from, because that really was, an F word that could have been. Anyway, look, excuse me, listeners.
I'm glad you put in the from. I know it is a 4-letter word, but it wasn't the one you kind of conjured up in my mind.
Well, you see, there's a certain amount of mysticism that is appropriate when you're communicating with a person and you want to captivate them, hold their full attention throughout the entire time. One way you can do it is send them into ecstasy.
Right.
Once a listener feels in ecstasy in your company, totally enamored, enraptured by what you're saying, wishing that the speech or the conversation would go on and on and on, wanting to hear more ways of saying the same thing because what is being said is so attractive. That is what many speakers would value a lot, an audience in ecstasy.
Paul, do you know what I like about that? Do you know what I like about that word? And you're after telling the audience now that this is your word of the week. But what I particularly like about that word, when I was 13 years of age, I won £5 in a class spelling competition. And the word that everybody was stumped on was ecstasy, because they all went for EX or just X to start it. And I was the only one who got the word right, and I won the last £5.
Well, Ted, I won't ask you to repeat that performance because, you know, that was historic at that occasion. But I will tell you that I think it's really important on this show that we give people the spelling. There are many people listening to this show who are learning English as their second or third language. So ecstasy, ECSTASY, ECSTASY. There's a plural which is ecstasies. You remove the Y and you put IES on the end of it. Ecstatic is connected with it as well. But let me ask you, listeners, have you recently been in the grip of ecstasy? Have you taken ecstasy recently? Right. Well, ecstasy from this point of view is an amphetamine. It's a chemical composition. If you want to make it at home, you get 11 parts of carbon, you get 15 parts of hydrogen, 1 part of nitrogen, and 2 parts of oxygen. Mix them all up together, and you get ecstasy.
Are we doing a little bit of Breaking Bad here, Paul?
Well, I leave that to you, Ted.
Walter White? Are you Walter White?
To be in the state of, to be a mystic prophet, to put people into a trance, people would be in ecstasy. That's another meaning of it. So we've had the drug one. Now we're talking about being a mystic, a prophet. So that's another way of getting into a state of ecstasy. If you are in a state of huge, big emotions, utterly enraptured, and many, many people at Toastmasters meetings have been enraptured by the story that people have been telling, that is being taken into a state of ecstasy. So it's also, the word can be used in the context where something is beyond rational, almost a kind of a religious state. This is not rational, this is not logical. It's a complete presence I feel within myself. That's a state of ecstasy. And also to be outside self-control. I know self-control when you're in a state of ecstasy. You're completely and utterly, you've ascended to the heights. You are truly... I
think you must be in a state of that, no self-control at the moment, because the red light has been on for an inordinate amount of time there, Paul.
Well, as you know, Ted, I am visually impaired. And
that's called color blindness.
Rely upon people chipping in, interrupting me, and telling me I've gone over time. Thank you very much, listeners,
and
for listening.
With that, I shall cease being ecstatic and bring this episode to a close. And we'll invite you to come back tomorrow at the same time when we'll be bringing you a TED Talk. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Sorry about that, Paul. I couldn't resist that with the red light on.
You did the best
well,
thing.
There's a bit to cut out in the beginning.
Yeah, there probably is.
All that.
Moira or Paul, would either of you introduce my speaker? Have you got a bit of information on her there? Nolene Karibo is her name. She's from Kampala, Uganda.
I have the video up.
Give me a minute. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's a TED Talk. Recent TED Talk last year. Nicolene Kariba. She dropped out of school and set up her own, you could say, Toastmasters organization to help younger kids.
Yeah.
Now she's becoming a sensation now in Uganda as a teacher because she's doing something that she's ecstatic about.
How do you spell Karibo?
K-I-R, is it? Wait, no, I have it here. Yeah, K-I-R-A-B-O. TED Talk. 'Tis a recent TED Talk she did, 2019. It's 10 minutes and 30 odd seconds. And sorry about all the confusion today and my short and fleeting appearance on the talk show for talkers this week.
It's okay, Ted. These things happen.
Yeah, I'm logged into another one another Zoom conference at the moment about back to work, and there's some stuff in it that I need to get.
Okay, we'll see you anon, Ted.
I leave you? Yeah, I'll leave you. Sorry, lads.
That's
Have
okay.
a good weekend. I'll probably be on to you again before that. Bye.
Okay, Ted.
Bye.
Bye. Right, okay.
I can introduce this woman a tiny bit,
Can you?
Moira.
Would you like to?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I will actually, because
Okay.
there's an angle on it I just want to emphasize, really.
Sure, no problem. I'm ready when you are. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, listeners, to a very dynamic woman. Okay, we gotta start again, Moira. Sorry about that.
Yeah, okay. Yes,
sorry about that
I
very
heard the
much.
dog.
My dog has.
Your dog decided to join in. That's okay.
Just a second, I'll.
While you're doing that, I shall do a bit of audacitying. Let's see if I can show you online what I'm doing. It's gone off a bit. Apologies for that. This is a frustrating program that I'm using. Come on. That's it. We'll do a bit of housekeeping. We did go over time on that first section somewhat. That's it. Okay. X marks the spot. We're way over there. Oh. Okay, Paul, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome to this part of the Talk Show for Talkers this week. I'd like to introduce you to Nolene Kirabo, and she comes originally from Africa, and she has recently been recognized for her work and been awarded the Rotary Vocational Service Award in 2019. And she's done extraordinary work with children, young women, and community initiatives. This is a speech that she made as a TED Talk last year. And this is a speech which I'm sure you're going to be both inspired by and impressed by the rhetorical devices which she uses. Here is Nolene Kirabo.
Very good. Thank you for that. Now, are we going to listen to it now, or it is quite long, so I don't think we have much time to do.
How long is
comments.
it, by the way?
It's 11 minutes and something, I think. Hold on, let me just check.
Oh, no. Can we just hear the first minute or two, just
yeah,
to
it's
see
11
if my introduction
minutes.
was rubbish or not? Just
Well,
wanted to see.
yeah, I'm always a bit...
needs, your bills, and even some
Okay,
needs,
start from the beginning.
your bills, and
Start from the beginning.
when you have a job that pays you enough to cover your basic needs, your bills, and even some more to spend, the assumption is that you'd be happy, or even better, fulfilled. And it seems unthinkable when you wake up and say you're going to leave a job like that to pursue a passion. And that was my dilemma 6 years ago. I had a
That's good,
comfortable
Moira.
job.
That's good.
I lived a comfortable life. And people expected me to be fulfilled.
You're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. That's
Okay.
because that is a way that, many people in Toastmasters will be very interested in the way in which he began that speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just even the first few lines, very well structured.
Okay. I shall just...
Now, I have absolutely no idea what you said in the speech. So if we're going to record an outro, do you want to record an outro?
I'll just record the outro and we'll move on. Okay, I'm just doing my little bit of housekeeping. Okay. And before we start recording, I just want to give a shout out to Crystal Long, who is watching us online. Hello, Crystal. You're welcome. If she's still watching, not sure. Right, we have 4 people watching. That's something. Now, let's record the outro, and I need to know what you're talking about. So let me put that up. And Paul is talking about
how to win points in the month of June.
How to win points in the month of June. For some reason, I find it very difficult to find that in the chat. Oh yeah, there we are. How to win points. I could have looked on the website because I've already put it on the website and I forgot. Actually, on the subject of that, I must save that or I will lose it. And of course, the website has now got the beach ball going. Oh well. Did that go? Did that work? Oh God. I don't know now. I don't know what I'm doing. Application not responding. Oh, I love that. Okay, no worries. I'll come back to that. That brings our segment to a close, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow when Paul will be talking about how to win extra points in the month of June. I hope he means DCP points, Distinguished Club Program points, but we'll soon find out. Join us again tomorrow at the same time. That was a bit of waffle.
No, but I've got a good segue from what you said.
Good. Okay, I need to move your beginning down. Let's get rid of that. X. Okay. All right. Section 3. That did work. Good. Right.
Oh God.
Do you want to go and sort him out?
It's all about somebody outside.
Okay, yeah. It figures. Dogs will do what dogs will do, whether we like it or not. We'll be with you in a few seconds, dear listeners. I'm actually taking this opportunity to flex our broadcast stream so that when I flick you to this screen, you will not only see, hopefully, the Audacity screen. No, it doesn't show the Audacity. There's something very funny, Audacity screen. Does that make it work?
There will be no more
Nope.
interruptions.
There will be no more interruptions. Okay.
No.
It's weird. I'm so fed up with this open broadcasting software. It really does do frustrating things. You try and do something, and you show it on screen, and nothing happens. Very frustrating. Let's just see if I can get it. Nope. Load of rubbish. Transition. Studio mode. Oh, no, it's just not working. Oh, well, sorry about that. Let's go back to the recording, and we'll start the next. Welcome back, listeners, Toastmasters, friends, Romans, countrymen. Greetings and welcome to part 3 of the Talk Show for Talkers here on irishtalkers.com. As you can see, I'm not paying full enough attention, but I will put my attention hat on and say welcome again. Do look us up on Facebook as the Talk Show for Talkers. And if you wish, go to our website where you can listen to all our back catalogue going back to the year dot. But from the podcasts that we've been doing for the last 2.5 years, they're all accessible directly through the website. Our website, of course, is irishtalkers.com. It's now time to hand the baton over to Paul Omani. And Paul, this week, is intending to talk to us about winning extra points for the month of June. So, over to you, Paul.
Listeners, the Bundesliga is back in action. Listeners, the Premier League is back in action or will be very soon. How to get extra points in June is a matter of international importance for all the people who are huge followers of association football. I'm not going to talk about association football today at all. What I'm going to give you is an extravagant statement that June, the month of June, is the most dynamic month in the whole of the Toastmasters year. Dynamism comes in all sorts of forms. Other people have the view that the most dynamic month is the month when all the speech contests take place. Other people have the view that the most dynamic month is when the district annual council meets. Others think it's the Christmas party. There's a huge range of views about this, but let me fly the flag for the month of June. You see, the month of June for Toastmasters is a month during which people recover from May. A lot of things have happened in May this year, haven't they? And a good number of people feel entitled to have a good rest after that. In the month of June, there are club elections. The incoming club committee for the following year is going to be decided. It's also the end of year celebrations for the members of the club, all that we've achieved in the previous year, because the Toastmasters year ends at the end of June. So clubs will be celebrating their successes, all the education awards they've gained, all of the personal goals that have been achieved in the club. Also in the month of June, there's the handover to the new incoming committee. There's the handover to the new area director, the handover to the new division director, the handover to the new district leadership team, the whole lot, a huge amount there. And to go along with the handover, there's time to be going on holidays. In Ireland, certainly in Cork, a goodly number of the clubs go on holidays sometime in June and come back sometime later in the year. So June is a lot of activities are going on. I'm said as the title of this part of the show, something about getting points. Now, let's talk Toastmasters. Distinguished club points. There are also points for being the best area. There are for being a high-class quality, excellent area. There are also points for becoming a top-class division and even a top-class district. So there are points to be gained by people in every part of the organization. There are also clubs that are open the whole year round. They don't go on holidays. Haha, there's an opportunity, isn't it? There are also opportunities for people who are not yet members of Toastmasters to go to a Toastmasters meeting over the summer. Another opportunity for clubs that stay open to get extra members. Also, there's an opportunity to plan how to start a new club. Absolutely great time in the summer to be doing a little bit of analysis and thought and networking in order to get a new club up. There's an opportunity in June, July, during what some regard as the holiday period, to review the year as a whole. There's an opportunity during the summer for people to consider who have they been mentoring during the year? What progress has taken place for both the mentor and the person who's being mentored? There's loads of opportunities to do things. Let me focus in on just one of them. The Toastmasters year ends at the end of June. There are people who are a short distance away from achieving an education award. There are clubs that are a short distance away from achieving extra points that will count in the current year. Now in the month of June is a time to hold extra meetings with evaluators, properly run Toastmasters meetings in which people can make speeches. The speeches can be evaluated. The evaluations can be communicated properly, and the club can win extra points in the Distinguished Club program. Individuals can get awards. And what a great thing it is to have had a year in which you started getting an award somewhere during the year, and in the same year you get a second award. Or perhaps you get your very first award in the month of June. And if you get that award by, let us say, the 20th of June, that's not that far off, but also it's plenty of time to get a speech or two in. You can get it registered with Toastmasters International in time for it to be credited in the current year. Also, it's time to get a couple of extra members. Remember, of course, that if somebody joins in June, they pay a reduced fee to get them to the end of the payment year, and they can be given all sorts of incentives in the month of June in order to join. Clubs have, at their discretion, the ability to not charge whatever is the extra fee that they charge. Obviously, Toastmasters International has to get the appropriate fee, but some clubs charge a little bit extra so that the club can be more financially viable. And that gives clubs a flexibility to put a little bit of a financial incentive into gaining members in June. Because if a club gains a couple of members in June, in terms of the Distinguished Club points, it may well be at the moment, may well have 18 members. Imagine if it could get 2 more members, it would get the magic 20. And then it could be recognized as a distinguished club, even as a select distinguished club, even as a president's distinguished club. And I have to confess, I'm not 100% aware of what you have to do to become a Smedley distinguished club. But whatever it is, there are opportunities. So rather than saying, well, we've had the year, it's over now, handing over to the next committee, we might as well hand over to them now and then have no more meetings during the summer. Rather than doing that, what about value for money for the members by having a way of encouraging members to go to meetings in other clubs, make speeches, get credited in your own club, And in effect, even if your own club isn't meeting online, how many other clubs are meeting online? Do you know any clubs in, let us say, the English-speaking world that are meeting online? If you don't, send an email in to the Talk Show for Talkers, and we will tell you where you can find thousands of them. Thousands of clubs will be meeting online during the rest of June. One little tip I'll give to those of you who want to be really on the ball and very focused about this. You can actually set up special extra meetings of your club, designed specially, without, for sake of argument, no table topics at all, just the speeches, so which can be evaluated. Part of learning, part of education. You could even have a meeting where you had 10 speeches, all of which were evaluated properly according to the education program. You could have 10 people in your club, or even people from other clubs, making speeches, getting points, getting awards, celebrating the year, so that you finish off the Toastmasters year with a bang, with a real energy. Moira, can I ask you, you've been in Toastmasters, you've been round the clock in different places. What do you think of the month of June?
What do I think of the month of June? Month of June is a time when we start thinking about what we're going to do in the summer and holidays and how long do we have to carry on going to Toastmasters clubs. But actually this June, I'm going to be thinking about, I wonder if we can continue through the summer months, because there's no financial implication anymore. We can carry on meeting. Doesn't matter if we only get 5 or 6 people in the meeting. We can carry on meeting through August and certainly through July. I don't really tend to think too much about points, but then I haven't been in that real position. I will be probably next year, because I'm going to be on the committee and somewhat responsible on one of our on-site clubs. So I probably will be thinking more about getting new members and getting points and rewards and so on. But for now, I just enjoy life.
I'm only one project, Moira, away from moving to the next level.
Paul, you are zooming ahead. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word, should I? You are galloping ahead with your pathways, and I'm delighted for you. You're doing much better than I am. I must get back to doing speeches again. I've been a bit lazy in the last couple of months. I've only done one.
You're learning every day, Moira. You're going out of Toastmasters and applying your skills in all the different places where you communicate with people. And getting awards is one thing, but applying the skills you practiced at meetings, now that's where you're really strong.
This is true, Paul. And on that ecstatic note, we'll bring this segment to a close. And I will invite you to come back tomorrow when I will be talking about body language when you're giving an online speech. Do join us then. Bye for now. Okay.
Well done.
Thank you. Right, what are we doing? That's me. I don't want to see me on screen anymore.
By the way, I have chatted to a few people about the possibility of holding a meeting.
Yes.
At which, well, within reason, anyone who wants to make a speech,
yes,
in order to get an award,
yes,
or help their club to reach another level,
yes,
will be able to do it.
So a sort of a fill-in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't. There's too many people wanting to get speeches, and you can't get your speech onto the schedule for another 3 months because everyone's wanting. Come along to this meeting, and you can get your speech done. I think that sounds like an excellent idea.
Properly run meeting, properly done, proper evaluations. In fact, if there were 10 speakers, we could have 10 evaluators.
Indeed so.
So we could have each of the speakers evaluating another speaker.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's on the horizon.
Okay, Paul, we are ready to start recording the next segment. Oh, pardon me. My
Oh
lunch
yes,
is
I have to
repeating itself.
introduce you.
You do, yes. Well, you don't
Just
have to, but it might help.
Well, yes, but just remind me what you're going to talk about again. I know it was very important.
Body language online.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Let's hide that away. And are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, listeners, and welcome to the best episode we have recorded this week. This is the episode where we're going to talk about your body. And all of us have a body. And Moira O'Brien is now going to talk about how you can use your body online in the best possible way. So let's hope that in the body of this episode, there's going to be something for your body. Moira O'Brien.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Paul. And thank you for lending me your body, metaphorically, of course, for this little segment. Now, folks, I don't know about yourself, but for myself, I haven't been to a face-to-face meeting for 3 months now. I think it was mid-March was the last one. April, May, June, nearly 3 months. Heck of a long time. I'm quite comfortable with body language in an online meeting. I know exactly, well, not exactly, I know more or less what to do. I know how to express myself. I know how to make myself appealing to the audience. I know how to use my facial expressions and my hands and the whole of my body. But of course, you have a certain distance between you and the audience. The audience is not looking at you so they can count every freckle on your face. It's a very different situation when you're online. Now, there's 2 different situations we're going to talk about. One is when you're standing up, but that's the more easier one is less differences, shall we say, from the on-site meeting than the second one. The second one being when you're doing it sitting down. And we do a lot of our talking sitting down. If we're doing a prepared speech, maybe we've organized it so that we can stand up and get most of our body visible. But if we're doing table topics, then the chances are we're going to be sitting down because you don't know when you're going to be called. It's not so easy to organize being in a position where you can stand up. It's not that easy. So let's accept that and just say, well, we're going to be doing our speech or our little table topic from a sitting point of view. Therefore, the chances are that your face is going to be fairly large in the screen. And people are going to be seeing you. If they're looking at Speak of You, they're going to be seeing you probably the size of their screen. That's pretty intimidating, isn't it? But think now of what this gives us. They might be able to see our hands when we put them up high, but a lot of the full body language they're not going to be seeing at all. So the face and the hands become all important. Now, we can express a tremendous amount just from our facial expressions. And what I'm suggesting you might do here now is not necessarily to exaggerate those expressions, because that can look a bit silly. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but generally speaking, I wouldn't recommend exaggeration. But what I would recommend is thinking very much about how you're going to express the emotion or just the words, not necessarily emotion, but the actual words that you're speaking, how you can convey those just by looking at the face. Now, this is something that you need to practice because it is not going to come necessarily naturally. And again, what do I suggest you do? Get in front of a mirror or get in front of a camera and practice with the eyes and the mouth and the whole head, how we can move our head, how we can tilt to express an emotion, how we can frown, how we can smile, all these things which are essential to expressing thoughts and ideas and emotions from the face. Now with hand gestures, it's a little bit easier because we're still going to be using the same sort of hand gestures that we're using before. And for a lot of the time, our hands are probably not going to be visible at all. They're going to be out of camera shot. Well, of course, if they're out of camera shot, they're not expressing anything. But you can bring them in at a second's notice to demonstrate something that you want to particularly emphasize with your hands. And to do this, I always recommend that you should show at least half of your chest upwards in the screen, rather than as I'm doing now. And if you're watching on YouTube, you will see where I'm going close to the screen, close to the camera, so that you're actually only seeing my shoulder and face. Now, that can be fine as a view of an audience member, but when you're talking, you want to be able to see a lot more of your body. So we've talked about face, we've talked a bit about hands. Now, what about your body? Well, even though you're only showing your upper body and only half of your upper body, you've still got the opportunity for using movement, because we've moved a little bit back from the camera. I'm actually, I would say, 3 foot from the camera here. And I've got the opportunity now that I can move a little bit within the screen without going off screen. And I can use my upper body, my shoulders, to get special emphasis, whatever. So we can get some way towards giving whole body expression. Okay, so that deals mainly then with what we're doing sitting down. We can extend this, so long as you're not moving too far away from your microphone source. You don't want to do that if you can possibly help it. But I have a microphone which I can bring out with me, so I'm very fortunate. And I can move myself quite a long way away from the camera and still have reasonably good sound. And yet now you can see me from my waist up. So that gives me a lot more opportunity now for expressing body language. And of course, if we go the whole way, and this is where it becomes more difficult, because you you almost certainly need to adjust your camera angle, which I'm now doing in this Zoom meeting with great difficulty. Now I am standing up. I'm actually limited by my headphones, which is a bit of a pain. So I would take my headphones off and I would move back as far as my green screen would allow, but I would have to adjust my camera to be able to do this. And it's not the sort of thing you can do on the fly. So what I suggest you actually do is you organize yourself before the meeting so that you can have a standing up position where the camera is going to be looking at you. And you can switch to that very quickly without causing too much disruption to the meeting. Not easy thing to do. Now, if you're like me and you cheat, you have 2 cameras, I can actually swap my cameras on the fly, and I can have one camera set up for standing and one camera set up for sitting. That's, I say, a cheating way of doing it. It's the techies way of doing it. And that works well. I've done that on a number of recent speeches, and it's fairly straightforward to do. It's a lot harder to do it if you only have the one camera, so maybe it's not something to recommend. But now, if we can move sort of 6-8 foot away from the camera, then you've probably got your body from maybe the upper legs upwards, and that gives you pretty well your full range. Also, it gives you a lot more width to stay within screen but still move around. So if you want to express things in the past, which means you want to go to the left, is it the left or the right? Sorry, to the right of your screen, you want to go, I have to think now, because How is the audience looking at me? The audience, I want to go to my right for the things of the past. I want to go to the center for the present. I want to go to the left, which is the audience's right, for things in the future. You have the screen to do it. You only need to move a foot one way and a foot the other way to be able to express that sort of change. But it can still easily be done. Okay. The main thing, just to sum it up, is that whatever you do with body language, it's got to be consistent and concordant with your message. Don't use body language just for the sake of it. Don't do what I've seen so many speakers doing, is they're constantly using the same hand gesture over and over and over and over again because they feel they've got to be doing something. You don't have to be doing things with your hands. If it's not necessary to give a hand gesture or a facial expression, don't do it. Paul, do you have any comments you'd like to make? And you're muted.
Yes, I wanted to concentrate on the body there rather than the voice, so I muted myself there. But in relation to what you have to say, Moira, about not moving unless it makes sense to move, really, and making sure that every gesture that is needed, every one that's used. I think that's tremendous. Just to add a tiny bit to what you were talking about there, I'd just like to say something about the body language of an audience, because there are people at a Toastmasters club meeting who are in an audience. And I would like to just encourage people to look interested while their camera is on. It is, you are on stage when you're in an audience, when your camera is on. And if you look disinterested, it will lower the energy in the room. It will have a negative effect on the quality of the meeting. So paying attention to what the speaker has to say, and if you're not paying attention, to turn off your camera. I think it's a form of body movement, how you appear on the screen.
That's a very good point. Very good point, Paul, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's something which maybe we'll discuss a bit more in a future episode. But for now, we've come to the end of our time, and we're going to leave you with these few thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the meeting. I hope you enjoyed this week's presentations, and that you will spread the word about the Talk Show for Talkers to your colleagues, your Toastmaster friends, and in fact, any friends you might have who are interested in speaking. Do come again and listen to us next week when we'll be bringing you, hopefully, another interesting show. And until that time, from Ted Malamphy, who's had to leave us, from myself, Moira O'Brien, and from my dear colleague, Paul Omani, who is staring at me from the screen there and waving his hand, goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.
So that's it, folks.
Excellent.
Oh, dear. That was a decent show. I did manage to get the open broadcasting to sort of work out, but it was a bit choppy. Now, I haven't looked at our online comments, see if anybody actually commented.
So it'll be on, so Moira, it has gone out live on YouTube, but it's
out live at the moment. And we had 4 people watching at one time. Don't seem to be anybody watching at the moment, but we are.
It'll be permanently on YouTube at some stage, won't it?
It will be, because I leave it open and public for people to carry on.
What's the YouTube channel? Is it Irish Talkers?
No, the YouTube channel is my channel, MoiraO'Brien.com.
Right. So people who wanted to subscribe to it and who had never been there before need to go to MoiraO'Brien.com, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we need to go to YouTube /Moira O'Brien.
Right. Right.
Okay, so we'll call the stream to an end there. And
Could we have, just as a matter of interest,
mhm.
could we have at some stage in the future our own YouTube channel just for the show?
We could, but when you're starting from scratch, it takes time to build up an audience. But yeah, we could do. We could do. Now, for some reason or other, the stream has gone all up the creek. Isn't that a shame? Let's see if we can get it to come back. I mean, I'm watching it on my iPad, and it's perfect. So I tried to go to watch it on the on my screen here, and it's completely up the creek. I don't understand YouTube. Don't make a lot of sense. There we are. Right, Paul, if you have nothing better to say or nothing worse to say, read www.youtube.com. It's just giving me a red screen, isn't it strange? And yet I'm watching it on my iPad perfectly. Yeah.
I found something very interesting, Moira, and I don't know whether this is because these are cached on my machine or not. But if I put in Talk Show for Talkers into the search bar on YouTube, I get the first thing I get on top is something that was streamed 3 weeks ago, entitled "Recording the Talk Show for Talkers" podcast on irishtalkers.com.
Yep.
And I get that. Then I get a live now. That's the current one.
Yes.
And then I get a week ago. Yes, a week ago, I get the Talk Show for Talkers, a recording session there. So I get 4 links there, one after the other.
Yeah.
Then I get somehow or other, I get somebody from Stanford. That's kind of not really important. But I do at least, if somebody, looks for...
Yeah, they will find. Yeah, of course they will find.
They will get something. That was what I was after.
Yeah,
really.
they will, because I make sure that the metadata, etc., is all there, and that we can be found.
Well, that's very good. That's very good, because you never know. In 5 years' time,
there are parts of the world where the renewals have grown considerably.
Now we're getting feedback.
So I don't have any information about what's happened in District 71. It's probably much more healthy than other parts.
What was that from?
Well, has it come from my end?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was fiddling on YouTube to see, and I must have.
You
know
must
how
have
YouTube sometimes decides, "Oh, I'm going to play you something," even if you didn't ask, you'll want it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's bring the stream to a close.
Yeah.
We'll see you again next week, folks. Bye for now.